Hey guys, so I wanted to make a quick video to talk about something that I have experienced that I thought about today. So in Romans 2:21, it talks about hypocrisy. So you cannot preach that a person should not steal if you yourself are a thief. So basically that's what it's talking about. You know, you cannot tell someone else to do something if you yourself are guilty of doing that very thing. And so I think about that, and I think about that in context to the Black community, the Black culture, and that Black folks are some of the most racist people I have ever met. And this is something that is quiet as kept, and people do not like to talk about it because they don't believe that Blacks can be racist, because they are under the impression that if someone is treated badly, that gives them the license to also behave badly. Even though a lot of people have never experienced firsthand racism, they feel that it's appropriate to be racist. I don't know how many of you all really understand that whenever I sit in front of Black people, it's a racist conversation. It is a race-driven and a racist conversation, and I am tired of it. And I think the reason God has allowed me to have so many of these conversations is because he knows that I'm going to speak out against it or about it and bring light to it. Because I don't think that people really understand that when you focus on a thing that you perceive is a problem, that reinforces the problem, and you're going to have more of that problem. So I was talking with this woman, and she handed me a business card, and it had a QR code on it, and she told me to scan it, and it's a YouTube channel, and it's all these Black history stories and Black this and Black that. I'm so tired of the word Black, I don't know what to do. I've said that before. And so I scanned the thing and I listened to it, and it's all about, oh my God, how they are victims and everything else. And I'm listening to this, and I just could not hide my facial expression. Because I'm so tired of it. If you instill this in children that they are victims, guess what they're going to behave like? Victims. Words do have power. Now, I understand there was something that people used to say, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. That is a lie, and it is unbiblical. Words can kill you. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. When you speak over a person, when you speak over yourself and you say negative things, those are the things that you see in your life. So when you speak over an entire group of people and tell them that they cannot do it because they are too dark, that is a problem. And we're seeing the problem now. And I just made a post. I was talking about Chad Jackson. So Chad Jackson has been raised up by God. God can only raise up a truth teller. The devil does not do that. He won't allow it. He wanted the lie to continue. Everybody accepted the lie. And so Chad is pulling back the covers, and he's showing the root of the tree. The tree has been producing rotten fruit. And now we see it because people have been eating of that tree, and now they can't seem to do nothing. They have been paralyzed by this lie that they're owed something, and that the world owes them, and that they are victims and everyone hates them. That is a lie. If you get out into the world, you are going to find that you're going to be snaked by more Black people than white. I know you don't want to hear it. I know it is uncomfortable, but that is the bottom line. I know for story. So now she's doing all this. And I said, so what is this for? And she said, for school age kids to learn about Black figures. And she went through this whole thing, and everything's about Black, and she's making a clothing line for Black. And while she was talking, I just heard within my spirit, that isn't going to go anywhere. And that wasn't even my own thought. And I thought about that, and I wasn't talking to her, but I kind of just gave it just a little thought, and I thought about it, and that is true. That is true. I remember buying a car years ago. I was in the dealership, in the Nissan dealership back home, and I was talking to this sales guy. He was selling me a car, and he started telling me about this book that he's writing, and the book that he was writing was for Blacks, and it was about repairing their credit and that kind of thing. And I said, so do you want other races to buy it? And he was like, well, yeah, but it's mainly for Black people. I said, do you not think that white people have credit problems? And he said, no. I said, you think every white person in this world and in this nation has excellent credit? And he hadn't even thought about it. I said, you are going to cut out 50% of the market, probably 60 or 70% of the market, because white folks are the people that made Oprah, not Black people. I'm sure I'm not supposed to say that either. So you are going to cut out 70% of your customers. because there are a lot of white people that don't have excellent credit. And if you're someone that can help them, if God gave you that idea, he didn't give it to you just for black folks, period. And so he said that he would think about that and he might add a chapter or whatever. But I am just astonished when I talk to people, because I honestly believe that God gave me a gift, that I'm able to look at a person's business and that kind of thing and help them out with that. I have done that for years. And so, you know, and it's simple. It's almost common sense. It's as simple as you can't discriminate. I mean, my God, that is the secret. You can't discriminate, you know. And so, but if you say that, people act like, well, blacks still have, you know, this problem and that problem. I have seen it in my comments. I had a woman in the comments that said, you know, sister, I think everything that you're saying is right. You know, she used the term sister because whenever you say sister to another black woman, that is saying that you guys have something in common. So I don't agree with that, because my sisters are those that are born of God, that do the will of God. And so she said, well, sister, I see everything you're saying, and I agree, but blacks should still have their own businesses and stuff. That means that she did not agree with what I was saying. See, a part of her spirit understood what I was saying, knew it was right, but her flesh would not allow it. Because that means that you have once again given white people power over you. I just want to say this, and I want to get it said. White folks ain't thinking about you. Okay? They have their own problems. They got to work out their own salvation. When they die and go in front of God, he's not going to ask them about the black man. He's going to ask them about them. He's going to ask them about them, not about the struggles, not about anything else. When you think about the children of Israel and those people that were so successful that made it into the Bible, they had to face insurmountable odds. And it did not matter that they were Gideon. It did not matter that they were small. It did not matter that everybody was against them. It did not matter that the other nations were bigger and stronger. None of that matters, because when God puts power in you, you go from being just a natural man to a supernatural man, because he is putting a super on you. And so if you are someone that has a business idea, if it came from God, it's going to include all people, because we are here to influence the entire world, not just your race. I know this is a long message, and I know it's not very warm and fuzzy, and I know it's not very popular, but it's something that has to be said, because it is not stopping. Every day I still run into people that are black this and black that, and they expect me to also jump on board, because if you've not noticed, I am black. I was born that way. And I believe that God put me in this body because he knew, okay, she is going to walk this out, and she is going to see that all of this has been a lie and it has been a hoax. The only thing that's stopping you is you. You rise and fall to the image of yourself that you have inside of yourself. God would not put the key to your happiness in anyone else's pocket. And so if you are blaming any other race for you not doing what you're supposed to do in life, you are in error, and you are a failure, and you are a failure because of yourself. The blame is laid right at your feet, not at the devil, not at anybody else, because if the devil could stop you, he would have already done it. This is not about the devil. This is you thinking that you cannot do it because someone told you a lie. This is why the work that Chad Jackson is doing is so important. He needs to tell you that you are not disenfranchised. You do not need a handout. You need to use your own hands and get up. Can't nobody keep you down unless you allow it. Can't nobody put their foot on your neck unless you lay down. So it's time for you to get up and stop blaming folks. You are your own problem. Get out your own way.